Before the insults, before the memes, before the cage match, there was cooperation. In 2014-2015, Facebook partnered with SpaceX to expand global internet access through Zuckerberg's Internet.org initiative. The plan? Launch a $200 million satellite called Amos 6 aboard a Falcon 9 rocket. Two of the most powerful men in tech, moving in the same direction. It looked like the beginning of something historic. Then, everything exploded. September 1st, 2016, a SpaceX Falcon 9 explodes during a pre-launch test at Cape Canaveral. The Amos 6 satellite, Facebook's $200 million bet on connecting the developing world, is destroyed before it even leaves Earth. Zuckerberg, in Africa promoting Internet.org, says he is deeply disappointed, quote unquote, measured, diplomatic, controlled. But here's what it means underneath the press language. A $200 million asset gone on someone else's rocket. Musk notes SpaceX offered a free replacement launch and that Facebook likely had insurance. Technically, the damage was covered. But losses like that don't just disappear in Silicon Valley. They calcify. They become the subtext of every interaction that follows. This was the first fracture, small, quiet, already hardening. Now, it stops being about satellites. Now it's about the trajectory of civilization. In 2017, Zuckerberg is asked about Musk's warnings that AI poses an existential risk. He doesn't hedge. He calls the doomsday framing pretty irresponsible, quote unquote. Musk responds. I've talked to Mark about this. His understanding of the subject is limited. Two men with incompatible worldviews and the contradiction at the center of each position is worth examining. Musk spent years warning about the danger of any single entity controlling transformative technology. He co-founded OpenAI to prevent exactly that. He acquired one of the most influential speech platforms on Earth and centralized narrative control around himself. Zuckerberg preaches open AI development and human progress. From inside one of the most data-centered companies in history, with more behavioral insight into human psychology than most governments possess. Both men are describing a risk the other one embodies. Neither will say it out loud. This here is the moment the rivalry, it stopped being transactional. It becomes ideological. Then Facebook walks into the worst crisis in its existence. The Cambridge Analytica scandal. Tens of millions of users' data harvested without consent, handed to political operatives, used to influence elections. #delete Facebook trended globally. Zuckerberg testified before Congress for 11 hours. Musk is tagged in a tweet about the movement. In his reply, he says, "What's Facebook?" quote unquote, then publicly deletes Tesla's and SpaceX Facebook pages, calling the Tesla page lame, quote unquote, on the way out. Timed, deliberate, visible to millions. From this point forward, the professional courtesy is gone. The feud recedes, but doesn't resolve. Musk criticizes Facebook and Instagram for their effects on mental health. Zuckerberg rarely responds. Meta builds its ecosystem and makes an expansive long-term bet on the metaverse. Two completely separate empires, two different time horizons. Then, in October 2022, the dynamic shifted permanently. Musk acquired Twitter for $44 billion. Now, it's direct. Platform versus platform. Audience versus audience. For the first time, These two men are in operational competition, fighting for the same users, the same advertisers, the same cultural real estate. Zuckerberg began building his response. Meta announced Threads, a text-based platform built on Instagram's infrastructure, positioned unmistakably as Twitter alternative. Musk replies, "I'm up for a cage match if he is." Zuckerberg within hours, "Send me location." The internet detonates. Within minutes, UFC President Dana White, who called it the biggest fight ever made, confirms he's spoken to both men and is ready to organize. Vegas is discussed. Musk says the fight will stream on X for veterans charities. Zuckerberg proposes August 26th and says he's ready, adding he's not holding his breath. Then, Musk raises the possibility of surgery. Posts about neck and back MRIs. Momentum stalls. Meanwhile, the product war moved faster than any fight negotiation ever did. Threads launched in July 2023, 100 million users in 5 days, the fastest growing consumer app in recorded history at that point. Musk acquired Twitter to the own global conversation. Within days of Threads launching, he found himself reacting instead of initiating, responding to Zuckerberg's move rather than making his own. Twitter's legal team sends a cease and desist, alleging trade secret theft. Meta denies it. The public exchange continues. Musk escalating, Zuckerberg responding with characteristic understatement. When told X is allegedly suppressing threads from trending, he replies with one word: concerning. And somewhere during all of this, while Musk is posting about MRIs, Zuckerberg is on a mat in a local jiu-jitsu gym, competing under his legal name, winning medals against other people who have no idea they're rolling with the CEO of Meta. That image tells you everything about the difference in approach. Here's what most coverage missed entirely. Threads was never really about beating X. It was about protecting Instagram. By 2023, Instagram faced a genuine long-term threat, not from X directly, but from the broader shift towards text-based, real-time conversation that Twitter had always owned. Celebrities, journals, athletes, politicians, the people who drive cultural relevance were still anchored to Twitter despite its turbulence. And cultural relevance is the oxygen Instagram runs on. If that anchor held, Instagram risked becoming a platform where trends arrive late. Threads wasn't a cage match anymore. It was a defensive infrastructure play. Use Instagram's existing billion-dollar user base to pull the cultural conversation into Meta's ecosystem before it drifted somewhere Meta couldn't follow. The cage match framing was perfect cover. It generated billions of impressions in free media. It let Zuckerberg reframe what was fundamentally a defensive product decision as an act of competitive confidence. That's not just smart product strategy, that's narrative engineering. And it worked. The cage match never really needed to happen to produce results for either side. Musk optimizes for narrative velocity, maximum visibility, constant motion, unpredictability as strategy, everyone watching, and competitors perpetually reactive. Zuckerberg optimizes for data leverage, patient capital, structural advantage built over years, not news cycles. One controls the moment. The other controls the infrastructure beneath it. The cage match was theater. What it represented was entirely real. The cage match was always the wrong frame. The actual competition is infrastructural. Every time you open X, you're inside Musk's platform, shaped by its algorithms, policies, its owner's worldview. Every time you scroll Threads, you're inside Meta's. Shaped by its data, architecture, and long-term design, two men built the pipes that information flows through. They don't need to fight each other. They're already competing through us. The cage match was a moment. The platform war is permanent. And it's already underway.